Hi everyone, this is Touchgrass Gardening, where we talk about tropical, exotic, and fun plants growing in harsh environments. Previously, we had a popular video about the rare fruit trees that are growing in my yard. Today, I want to talk about the new rare fruit trees that I've planted in my yard in 2024 and how they're doing so far. I've got 7 varieties. Let's go talk about them. So the first rare fruit tree I'm going to talk about today is the cacao tree. And this has been in the ground about 3 months now. It's looking really healthy. I have shade around it, so it has some protection from the hot afternoon sun. But the reason I have this tree is because my 3-year-old daughter has a book called Baby Botanist. And in that book, the child has a cacao tree. And my daughter asked me, can you get a cacao tree? And so I looked online on Etsy and ordered one. Once it came, it was almost completely dead. It defoliated. I just babied it in my little greenhouse, and then it started to have some new growth again. Once it had a few leaves, I put it in the ground, and then once it had a little bit more area to grow, it just really started putting on all this lush growth. So it's been quite an adventure with this tree, and it's been a fun one because this is one that you don't see in my area in Zone 9B around Phoenix, Arizona. The first reason is it probably needs a little bit more shade than most tropical trees here because of the harsh afternoon sun, but the main reason is that it doesn't like any frost or cold. So once it gets below about 45 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to have to put a little bit of heat protection around it so it doesn't die off in the winter. So it's been through the summer. The adventure now is going to be how to get it through the winter. So we'll see how this tree does as we move forward, but I'm really excited about this cacao tree because of how healthy and happy it looks right now. So the next tree I want to talk about is the Karen Michelle mango. So not only does this have my wife's name in it, Michelle, but it's also the best tasting mango that I've ever tried. The reason I know that is our family went to a mango tasting event, tried 30 different mangoes, and this was the top one. So if you want to learn how we figure out which fruit is the best tasting before we put the tree in the ground, I have a video on that above. You can click on it and learn more. But this tree has happily surprised me in a number of ways. Mostly because of how well it has grown and how well it has dealt with our full sun this summer. So I planted it in May. It's been through our summer months. It's now September, and you can see that it has all this new growth. It started about here. It has about a foot of new growth and very little sunburn. A tiny bit of sunburn on our days that it gets about above 110, but overall, just great growth, upright growth. My other mango, the Super Alfonso mango, it has a lot of growth that kind of spills downward and I have to always be trimming it. This one has a lot of upward growth, and I really find the shape of this tree to be much more ideal as a mango. Now it's not going to fruit in the first year. I'm hoping to get at least one fruit in the next year, and I'll let it fruit. And again, it has the best tasting mango fruit that I've ever had. That's why I'm so excited about this Karen Michelle mango. So the next tree I'm going to talk about is a Chico Sapodilla. This variety is called Morena, and it's one that I've not had in my yard before. It's a very interesting fruit. It is kind of round and tastes like brown sugar, and it's supposedly a fairly easy tree to grow. So right now I have this shade cloth over it because it would have full western exposure if I didn't. So in the first few years, I'm going to protect it from the sun, and I might put a frost cloth over it if we get down to those below 30 Fahrenheit days in the winter. But once this tree is fully established, it doesn't need either that summer or winter protection. So while it's young, it does, but once it gets older, it doesn't. And that's the type of tree that I really love, is that I can baby it in the beginning, but once it's established, then I really don't have to pay it much attention. And I really am excited about this tree, because it's beautiful. It just has this really nice, lush new growth. It doesn't have any browning on the tips or spotting or anything. And that's pretty rare where I live, where our water is pretty salty and we have a harsh environment. So the leaves are always looking a little bit rougher than they would in, say, a very tropical environment. And so this Chico Sapodilla is really healthy, surprisingly so. My wife got this for my birthday, so it's only 3 months in the ground, and it's already put on, I'd say, 6 inches of growth. And this is a notoriously slow growing tree, but it's healthy and it's happy. It even has a couple flowers that I just noticed this morning that are coming in. So just surprisingly a great tree that I just wanted to sort of experiment with and see if I could get it to grow. But so far it's done so well. We'll see how it does in the winter. But right now, this Chico Sapodilla, just beautiful, highly recommended. And we're probably going to get fruit, I'd say, in the next year or two because I already see flowers growing today. So now I want to talk about my new starfruit tree. I already have a Kerry starfruit in a pot, and I did a whole video on starfruit, which you can click above and see how amazing the fruit really is. And because we love the fruit so much, I decided I need a second tree in my yard. So this is a variety called Arkin. The other one is called Kerry, but I decided to put this one in the ground where my other one is in a pot. And I wanted to experiment between how they would do between pot and ground. And obviously, in theory, something in the ground should be more productive, it should be more vigorous, but starfruit is also known as a type of tree that does well in a pot and can fruit in a pot. So we'll see how these trees do against each other as we go forward in the future. But so far, this tree has done awesome. It has so much new growth on it. You can see it still has the nursery stake here, but I like to keep it that way for about the first year because you can see it's just really growing out in all different directions. If I didn't have a stake on it, it'd probably fall over. So I'll take that out within a year. But right now, you can see this tree is happy. And I've put it in a pretty full sun position. It gets filtered sun in the morning, but once the afternoon comes, it really has that full western sun. That's why I put this shade cloth here, at least for the first year, so that it gets a little protection and can survive our first summer, because I just planted this in April of this year, so it's only been in the ground for about 4 months. But I think it's close to what I would consider established. In the winter, I'll probably put a frost cloth over it for the first couple years until it's officially established. But this is the type of tree that, again, just needs some babying in the first couple years, and then after that, it should be fine on its own. And then you just get a ton of fruit. This is one of the most prolific fruiters you can get. Generally, you only need one starfruit tree in your yard, but because the other one is potted, this one is in the ground, I think having both will be nice because you might see a little bit different growth and fruiting habits, also because they're different varieties. So hopefully we can space out that fruiting a little bit and then eat starfruit for multiple months out of the year in the spring. So I just really love this tree, how it looks, has these delicate, elegant leaves and branches, has interesting growth habits, and it's just an awesome tree. I love starfruit and highly recommend you put that fruit tree in your yard. So this is a white sapote. It's a variety called Suebelle. And white sapote is a tree that checks all of my boxes. It fruits, it's evergreen, it's both heat and cold tolerant. So this is one of those trees that I just think is perfect in every way, and it has delicious fruit. Right now it's pretty small, but it's putting on new growth. It is looking healthy. I don't have any summer protection for this right now because it actually gets shade from the tangelo tree that's to the west of it. And otherwise I would have shade cloth here for the first summer or two for a white sapote, because otherwise they'll just burn up in our Phoenix sun in the summer. But this tree is looking healthy right now. Again, I still have the nursery stake on it for the first year, just so it doesn't fall over, but then I'll take that out. And I do think that this is one of the trees that I'm really most excited about, because I don't have, and I haven't seen many mature trees of white sapote in my area. And it's also a very prolific fruiter. So once it's bigger, once it's 4 or 5 years in the ground, it just puts on a ton of fruit. And it's a type of fruit that you can't find in the grocery store. So once you take them off the tree, they go bad pretty fast. And so that's really also the perfect type of fruit tree, is one that you can't get anywhere else except for your own backyard. So white sapote, one of the trees I'm most excited about having put in my yard in 2024. So this is the Indian jujubee, and that is as opposed to the Chinese jujubees that are deciduous and cold hardy. This is not. This keeps its leaves, and it also is sensitive to frost once it gets below 30 Fahrenheit. So this is considered a tropical tree, and it puts on somewhat similar fruit to other jujubees, but I find them to be sweeter and juicier. So if you've never tried an Indian jujubee, it's a shock and a pleasure, because you just don't find these fruits in a grocery store. But oftentimes if you go to a nursery or a local grower that has a tree like this, they have way too many fruits once this tree gets big, because this tree will get 25 feet by 25 feet when it's mature. It's a huge tree, and it just gets full of fruit. And it, again, kind of like white sapote, checks all my boxes for the perfect fruit tree. I'm probably going to be protecting this a little bit in the winter with frost cloth, but it loves sun. So in the summer, this is just in full sun, even when it's a baby like this. And that's why this tree is generally considered a pretty easy tree to take care of, especially after it's through about 1 or 2 winters and it's considered established in the ground. Might get a little bit of dieback if you get down to 25 Fahrenheit like I do, but the tree probably isn't going to die unless you get, say, down to 20 Fahrenheit and you get those really hard freezes that'll get into the trunk. But this tree is one that I'm just so excited about because I love this fruit. And when my daughter had a chance to try this fruit as well, she just went crazy. So she loves jujubees, our whole family loves jujubees, and this Indian jujubee is really special, and it's one that you don't often see unless you're in India. But this is one that I really love the idea of having in my own backyard. So this tree is a Jaboticaba. It's a variety called Taiwan tiger. It's a striped variety. So people know multiple different colors of Jaboticaba, like the black, the red, the yellow, the white. This is a striped variety. So it's really interesting and different. It's also one that has a slightly different growth habit than a lot of Jaboticaba. So a lot of them will be kind of branching out all over the place. This one has a more like normal tree upright growth habit, at least so far, and it's done so well. Out of all the Jaboticaba I have in my yard, this one just has a ton of new growth, looks super healthy, and I planted it in the spring, so it's been in the ground for about four months now, and is just full of new growth. This is one that generally will take years before it starts to fruit, but that's why I want to put it in now when we recently moved into this new house with a big backyard, and I can start to put in these trees that will give us results in years from now, not just immediately. And this is one that you really want to think about doing that. If you've never seen a picture of a Jaboticaba, check it out. It is just the coolest looking tree. The fruit actually grows on the trunk. So it's these grapes that grow up the trunk and through the branches. It's just the coolest look that you can ever see in a fruit tree. That's why I have several varieties of this in my yard, because I really just want to show people how interesting and amazing fruit trees can be. And I think Jaboticaba is really the one that does it in a way better than any other, and is just so cool looking. So this is a Taiwan tiger Jaboticaba. I'm super excited about how it's doing so far. I think it won't need any winter protection. I don't winter protect any of my Jaboticabas, at least so far. This one, because it's called Taiwan Tiger, I'm a little bit concerned it's more tropical than the others. But right now, it's in all-day filtered sun, it's under an oak tree, so it doesn't have any issues with the heat, and I don't think it'll have any issues with the winter. So I'm just super excited about this tree because it's easy and just so cool. So Taiwan Tiger. So a lot of you might be wondering, and this is one of the most frequently asked questions on my channel, where do you buy these trees? And I love to buy from local nurseries as opposed to online, because online you'll generally get a half-dead tree by the time it gets to you. So I prefer local. And the three that I got, most of the trees that you see today, are from Seamus O'Leary in downtown Phoenix, a tropical concept in downtown Phoenix, and then Tropica Mango Nursery in Mesa. So if you live in the Phoenix area, those are the three that have really interesting, cool tropical trees. You can find rare and different trees like what I've shown today. But some of those places don't always have exactly what I want, so I will order online sometimes. And one of the places I've really liked ordering from is called Green Dreams. You can Google their website and also put a link below. But I really think they're one of the best nurseries because when I order from them and I open up the box, the tree is healthy. And that's actually somewhat rare for ordering from an online nursery. So Green Dreams is one that I really highly recommend. They're a little bit more expensive than others, but the quality of the product is also better than others. So if you're thinking about, hey, I love these trees, I want to plant one, where do I get it? Now you know. So today we talked about my 7 recently planted rare fruit trees in 2024. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you really love rare, exotic, and fun trees, that's what we talk about here on Touchgrass Gardening, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any of these trees in your yard or you're thinking about buying them, I'd love to hear from you. So please comment below and I'll see you again next time.